welcome to Wendie's Watercolor and Wisdom. And if you're new here, well, I guess everybody's new here since this is like my third tutorial. This won't be clean and pretty. So all of my videos are going to be raw and crazy and interrupted. And the reason why is because I live in an RV with my husband and 3 dogs. And we travel and wander all over the United States and see amazing things and do amazing things. And one of the most amazing things that I have discovered in our 4.5 years of retirement is watercolor painting. So we have sat still for the last year in Idaho, northern Idaho. And one of the things that I've done to keep myself busy is I started teaching watercolor classes. Where we are getting ready to go out on the road, and it's the second week of May right now, and we're going to be taking off about the second week of June to start traveling around regionally. And I promised my students and others that I would continue with watercolor tutorials and tips and all of that kind of thing. So here we are. I'm going to try to keep this to about 10 minutes. If anybody knows me, we know how hard that is. But what I'm going to do today is show you a little bit about some of the watercolor play. If you've seen some of my art or anybody else's art, you think, oh my God, they're so perfect. They just whip out a piece of art, and that's not true. So I wanted to share with you some of the play that I do and that I know others do. So this is me playing with clouds. I just took the paper and gridded it out and just played with different colors and styles. I made notes for me. What did I use? What tools did I use? Scrumblers and wet on wet, wet on dry, dry on wet, and the different types of paint, because every kind of paint interacts differently. So one of the things that I want to encourage you, if you're new, especially if you're new to watercolor, is to do things like this. Find a subject matter that you're curious about. I don't know if it's layering water, petals, working on water. I've got other sheets that look just like this that are all about water. So I just want to highly recommend to you to get in there and play. And I just wanted to share with you some of the play that I did. So I agreed to do one more watercolor workshop for a retirement center. And I'm going to pause because my husband's coming in. Okay, there's one of those interruptions. My husband just came in and anyway, let me get myself, I want to be back just far enough. Okay, so this is some practicing. I have some ideas of what I wanted to do. I still haven't settled on exactly what I'm going to teach, but I'm getting it narrowed down. So this was, again, just watercolor play. See what colors work together and whatnot. And then I tried this. Me and Pinterest are great friends, I tell you. And I really am liking this. But my concern is that the students are going to struggle with making the lines for, doing the lines so gently. There's a lot of arthritis and a lot of other motor skill issues that we deal with. So I'm not sure about that one. But I really kind of like this one because I think they can get a good outcome, because these really could be blobs, and the size of the grass and the stems is unimportant. So, I don't know. I really kind of liked these two concepts, and what got me going was that I personally like these two concepts. So, I did them again. I'm going to turn this one over. And I hear the dogs barking in the background. Look at how lovely that is. I am so impressed. I don't know why I wait until this time of the day to do these videos, because this is when everybody starts coming home from school and work and everything. But that's life. That's just the way it is. And then I did this one again. I mean, I really really like that. I think that that is going to be a really good concept. I'm leaning towards this one. And they can do a variety of colors so everybody's doesn't look exactly the same. I can do different colors for the flowers. So I'll let you know once I've made the final decision. But that was the main thing, is to let you know about play. And this is the last one that I played with last night. Oh my gosh, this was so much fun. Again, if you know my style of art, you know that this is not the standard for me. It kind of is, but florals and this, I didn't even look at anything. I just painted and what I felt and kind of made blobs. And then I made those blobs into flowers, and it was a lot of fun. And I have been working so hard on videos and building my fourth wall art store. Speaking of which, if you're interested, please go to my art store. I've got a special going on right now that there is a pet portrait in there called Willa the Wonder Cat. And I am donating 50% of all proceeds to the Helping Hands Animal Rescue. That's where I got my lovely Freya, at least through them. And so please make sure to hop over, look at the links below or in my bio for the link to Wendie's Nomadic Vibes store, and check out Willa the Wonder Cat and all the other wonderful merch that I have in there. But you'll be doing something for a good cause if you get some pretty cool Willa the Wonder Cat merchandise. There, that's my shameless plug. How's that? So something I wanted to point out to you that I think is so fun, other than just having fun and getting some brush mileage. Brush mileage is about the only thing that is really going to improve your watercolor journey on a regular. There is one more thing that will improve your watercolor journey, and that is brush mileage and watercolor paper. So I am a huge proponent of Arches watercolor paper. This stuff, it was about a year, I don't know, a year and a half into my watercolor journey. See me stroke this, before I actually tried Arch. It's actually pronounced Arch. But I'm freaking American, so it's Arches. So you'll hear me say it both ways. But if I ever go to France, I think that's where this is made, then I promise I'll say it right. But I'm not gonna, yeah, let's see, where is it? Yeah, Fabrique in France. Yeah, it's French. So if I ever go to France, I'll say it right, but I'm American, it's Arches. So this to me is, I would marry Arches if I could. It is so wonderful, and it took, once I got started on my watercolor journey and with all the other pulp paper, I was like, oh, holy crap. It took me quite the journey to change. But this is like $25 American for 12 sheets. You might get it on sale for 20 bucks, and you might find it as much as $32. But that's a lot of money if you think about it. For most people, that's just, you know, it's a lot. And this is something that I highly recommend. And Meeden watercolor paper is really good too. But if you go to Michael's Artist Loft Series 3 watercolor paper, not Series 1, not Series 2, they suck. They suck really bad. But Series 3 watercolor, and this is actually in a block, they're not bad. But what I want to share with you, and some wisdom is coming in just a moment, so give me a little bit of time here. What I want to share with you is the difference between, I'll just use these two. Look at the texture, we'll use the blue. Look at the muddy texture here versus the texture in this one. look at the muddier texture here. Terrible at video just yet. Versus the texture here. Can you see the mass difference between these two? It is very, very important to me. I cannot, and this is Artist Loft, and it's pretty good, but it's far different than this. So I don't care what brand, Meaden, Artist Loft, whatever. I cannot recommend enough to you. You absolutely must switch as soon as you reasonably can to 100% cotton watercolor paper. That's my biggest piece of wisdom for you today. However you can manage it. And they're all different. And there's so many favorites. And I think I'm going to dive into all the watercolor differences later, the water paper differences later. But I can't tell you enough how amazing our watercolor paper is to me. All right. We're going to end this with Wendie's wisdom that goes along with the brush mileage that I'm always talking about. And that is human beings spend 90% of their time getting to where they're going. They're going to school to graduate. They're going to training to get a new job. They're practicing watercolor in order to create pieces. They practice the guitar for years in order to play. 90% of what we do as human beings is getting to the place that we're going. And only 10% of the time is spent doing the thing that we're headed towards or celebrating the success of what we've been pushing towards. And usually within a very short period of time, we turn around and set additional goals. Why do I share that little piece of wisdom? Because 90% of your life is spent in practice. Enjoy the journey. The journey is so completely important. The brush mileage that gets you from here to here is just as exquisite. The creation of this and the final creation of these two pieces, of which I'm very proud of, were just as joyful. All right? Okay. So, there's Wendie's watercolor and wisdom for you today. I love you. Mwah! And I will talk to you again soon. So,